This video is sponsored by Squarespace, an all-in-one platform to build your business online.
Good evening.
So some of you might know that behind the scenes I've been working on a new BJD, and guess what? She's finally here!
Having her body already featured in multiple of my last videos, I proudly present to you Nova. She's a 40 cm tall, fully articulated ball-jointed doll and comes with a 4-eyes faceplate called Nova and a 2-eyed faceplate called Sona. She's so much fun to play with and comes in 5 different skin tones. A very light natural skin tone called Vega Fairy, a saturated teal tone called Cosmic Background, a watermelony pink called NGC 2244, a darker natural skin tone called Midnight Mars, and a mid-tone violet called Ultraviolet Ray. And she also comes with the option for a smaller or bigger breastplate.
She was sculpted by my super talented friend Blue Pixie, and she's probably my best posable doll so far.
And in today's video, I'm going to be customizing my first Nova doll myself and turn her into a cyber alien space GYARU.
For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, let me explain.
GYARU was a Japanese fashion-based subculture that was particularly popular in the 90s and 2000s. It was mostly teenagers and young adults who were rebellious, but also trendy, and wanted to oppose the classic Japanese beauty standards. You could find them in high schools, nightclubs, working as shop staff in fashion malls, and also hanging around on the streets in so-called GYARU circles. They even had their own dance called para para, which essentially is just a Japanese form of line dancing to Eurobeat, trance and techno music. And it's also so much fun. But whilst most followed trends, and believe me there's a lot, because if you do the makeup and hair you can basically call everything GYARU, some gave it their own twist, like for example Didi Do on Instagram with her cyber GYARU fashion. And that's exactly what we're gonna do today.
So how about we're getting started and start with her outfit? Let's go!
For her outfit, I really wanted to lean into the whole neon cyber fashion aesthetic and scribbled out a little sketch on my iPad. I will basically give her a crop top with a zipper, some shiny black pleather pants with cutouts and belts, a neon fur vest and shiny pleather boots with furry boot covers. And on top of that, top everything with nice accessories.
I totally did not use an old shirt for this. So, with an old shirt repurposed, I first cut out the pattern pieces for the top from it. I will need the bodice and the collar pieces. To be able to insert a zipper later, I then cut a slit into the front of the top until the desired point, and then using my beloved Uwu glue, I glue around the seam allowances of the slit. When that was nicely cleaned up, I take the collar pieces and glue around the front seam allowances and afterwards the top seam allowances. And then it's time to sew the collar pieces onto the bodice along the neckline good sides in. I have to sew on both halves and then it looks like this. And then we can finally insert the zipper. I place it underneath the cleaned up slit and pin it in place together with my fingers. Ow! Ouchie! That was my finger. When my finger stopped hurting and the zipper was sewn in, I can then cut off the excess of the sewn in zipper. With a sticky transition, I also cleaned up the armholes by just gluing them around. And then I can close the small side seams, finished sides in. Now we just have to glue around the bottom seam allowance with more Uwu glue and also add a velcro closure to the back of the shirt, and with that the first clothing piece is done. I think it's so cool when doll clothes have functional little details like this zipper, and the color of the top makes it already look super cyber-y.
Do you want to become a cybernetic entrepreneur? How about starting your business and online presence today? With today's sponsor Squarespace, that's going to be a walk in the park. With Squarespace you can easily build your own beautiful website and shop with beautiful templates that guarantee a clean and professional look. Never accidentally blow up pictures again thanks to image blocks. Images will automatically be sized and scaled to make sure they always look right, no matter how you place them in your content. Just drag and drop the images into position. And you can even connect your social media accounts by just changing the links and icons. It's just so easy. So if you're ready to step up your game on the interwebs, check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/moonlightjewel to save 10% of your first purchase of a domain or website using my code MoonlightJewel. That's squarespace.com/moonlightjewel, code MoonlightJewel. Thank you again Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now let's get right back into customizing Nova.
To make her shiny shorts, I cut up an old pair of pleather pants. I'll first sew the darts on the back seam, and for that pin them in place and then sew them. Then we can set aside the back pieces for now, and I take the front pieces to sew together, starting with the center front seam, finished sides in. Nice! I now take the back pieces and quite literally slap them on. To be able to glue around the seam allowances of the cutouts, I cut little notches into them and then use a finger snap to glue them around. Now it's time for the back seam. I sew it together until the closure good sides in. With this weird skirt looking thing, all we have to do now is fold the crotch seam together and sew the tiny seams finished sides in as well. I want to attach some garter belt suspender accessories on her pants, so I prepared this little strip with a ring and will now use my UV nail art glue to attach some bling to it using some tiny rhinestone chains. These are totally not useful, but I just love bedazzling things. I attached them to one side first, and when that was cured, I glued the second side as well. With a little elastic to give it some more movement space, it looks like that, and I can now put them onto the shorts using some contact glue. And I just had to glue a small green heart to them, didn't I? I also want to give Nova some belts, so I take this tiny snap buckle and glue a holographic pink pleather stripe first to one end and then to the other one and repeat the whole thing for the second belt. And here are the finished pants with the rhinestone garter belts. I think they look so cool and I really love the cutouts. And these are the finished belts. I absolutely love that these are tiny buckles and they actually work. Wow, this is so cool. Let's give Nova a neon fur vest. I first cut out the front pieces and pinned the darts for it so I can sew them finished sides in. With both pieces prepared, I can then take the back piece and hem together the shoulder seams.
It's very hard to see, but I have to glue around the edges of the armholes.
Yeah, you can barely see me gluing around the seam allowances of the armholes because of all the fur here. I also glued around the front seam allowances and put the vest aside to make the hood. For that, I cut 2 hood pieces and sew them together along the curved seam first. Afterwards, it looks like this, and I also made an inside hood from black fabric and then just smashed them so hard together that they're automatically bonded. Then I just sew the hood onto the vest along the neckline and clean up the inside by gluing it to the seam allowances of the neckline. And then we can finally close the side good sides in. Ah yes, a zipper magically appeared because I thought it would look super neat, so I took an old cut-up zipper that I still had because I most definitely do not have a hoarding problem and pinned it to the front of the vest before sewing it in. Now I just need to cut off any excess and burn off the cut with a lighter. Awesome! Now let's make the arm warmers. I keep using actual human clothes for this doll because they just had the perfect fabric. So I cut the pieces from this little neon colored sock and will now first need to glue around both top and bottom seam allowances. For attaching more rhinestone chains, I made these little loops and will now glue 3 of them to each arm warmer. And then I simply sew together the long sides of the arm warmers good sides in. Here you can see I prepared 6 rhinestone loopy chains and first attached them to the loops of the arm warmers. Ah, that looks so nice! And then I simply contact glue the upper loops into the armholes of the vest. And with that we have a really cool neon fur vest with arm warmers. I think this is such a cool piece and I would totally wear that myself, even though I would probably get stuck everywhere with these chains because I am Little Miss Clumsy. It's shoe time, baby! For making her some cool boots, I take more of the pink holo leather and will cut these boot pieces from them. I will need 4 in total for 2 boots. I trace them onto the fabric first to have the smallest waist possible in the end and then cut them out. To make the first boot, I take 2 mirrored pieces and first glue around the back seam allowances with Kontaktkleber. These will be the seams for the zipper later. Yes, you heard right, the shoes will have actual functioning zippers. Before sewing them in, I however sew the small back seam and glue around the seam allowances as well with contact glue. I realized that I also needed to clean up the top seam allowances and then I can finally insert the zipper. I will just clip it in place and top stitch it. And when it was done, I just simply cut off the zipper excess with scissors. To complete the sewing for the boots, I then sew together the curved front seam finished sides in. I make sure to cut notches into the seam allowances and glue them around before turning the boots inside out, which was actually really difficult because the material was quite stiff. Of course, I will need a shoe base as well, so I resized the Smartdoor shoe soles for my Cyborg Smartdoor that Blue made for me and fail print one of them first. Here I printed it again and just cured it so we can continue with the boots. Here I have the boot and will now insert the shoe base into the boot and then glue it in place with some more uwu glue. Then I can cut off the excess, like my own excess, and finally apply some glue all over the sole and then use some leftover shiny pleather fabric to cover it. I let that dry and then use my small embroidery scissors to cut off the fabric along the seam line. Onto the boot covers. I will make them from neon fur fabric too and will first sew together the curved front seam furry sides in. Then I fold them open and glue around the top and bottom seam allowances with some uhu glue. And then I just have to close the back seams, finished sides in and turn them inside out. Now we can put the covers onto the boots and they look like this. I think they're so cool, but we are still not done because we need more pizzazz and I have to bedazzle them with rhinestones. So I take more of the rhinestone chains and glue them around the boot covers. One done and second one done. Awesome! And with that, the shoes are done. I won't lie, these holographic pleather boots are so damn cool. I'm kind of bummed out that I don't have these on my size. And together with the boot covers, they give me such a Y2K throwback. Now let's tackle my arch nemesis, the wig. I want to give her a split hair wig with super curly pigtails and I will be working with nylon hair this time, which is really not that easy to work with. I actually cut up 2 wigs to harvest the hair and first glue the pink side of the wig, starting in the front with the bangs. I try to align the wefts in the direction I want them to go in as best as I can and glue everything with hot glue. If you don't have Teflon for fingers like I do, please wear some gloves or something to protect you. Here the front part of the wig is glued and for the pigtail I already rolled one long weft together into a sausage and glue this pigtail onto the marking on my wig cap. Then I cut off a chunk of the front of the wig hair and then fill up the right side of the wig with more wefts that all go into the direction of the pigtail until it looks something like this. I filled this up completely now. Looks very funky, but now we can make the pigtail. And after tying the pigtail together, I then start gluing the neon yellow-green wefts to the other side of the wig and basically do it the same way as I did with the pink side. To clean up the parting line when I was done filling up the hair, I made some glued wefts that I folded around with heat and then apply them to the parting lines. This actually looked so nice, I was really happy with the outcome. When the yellow was glued, I then also glued the pink, but I definitely realized that it will take a long time to fill up everything. It's gonna take forever to fill all the hairlines up. But with the power of spite and determination, I finally did it. And don't forget to cut the bangs into shape. I decided for micro bangs so that you can see all of her 4 eyes in the end. I tame the hair with heat and clean up any rough cutting lines. And then use some good old got-to-be hairspray to really set in the shape. Okay, so following problem. I have finished the wig so far. Let me show you. This is the progress of the wig so far. But I ordered some curling rods and they arrive tomorrow only, so I cannot continue with the wig right now and I'm running out of time with the video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to continue the wig tomorrow and instead start with the face up now and then we finish the wig afterwards. So let's do that. So yeah, while waiting for the curling rods to arrive, let's just start her face, shall we? I'm so excited. I never painted a 4 eyes face before and I feel it's gonna be eye-opening. So as always, micro glitters can't be missing for a shimmery sheen, and then I use vibrant pink pastels for her blushing. I really wanted to paint the doll in the NGC 2244 color because I feel it's such a unique skin tone and also looks very alien, so perfect for my aesthetic. After blushing her lips with some pastels and a smaller brush, I then take my brown colored pencil and start sketching out her eye lines. I will try to give her a typical GYARU makeup, which means I will try to paint her waterline a little droopier, but still try to make it look good. First I sketch out the upper eyelines though, because they will have a cute little winged eyeliner. And then it's time for the cutesy droopy look. I was actually mega curious how it would look on this doll, so I was doubly excited. Doubly! When I was satisfied with the initial lines, I then just painted them onto the other face hub as well, and then started sketching out her nose highlight. GYARUs have this very specific bold nose highlighting that I can't really explain, but it's a white stripe along the whole nose, and I decided to make it end with a little heart at the top. And now for the fun part, lining the sketched lines with black. This step always gives the face up life. I use a small nail art brush and a lot of patience to draw the lines as clean as I can. And when lining the lower lash line, you can really see the droopy eye. droopy eye. So cute. And then continue with all the black eyelines and can then fill in the inner corner white highlights. GYARUs have these very bold white inner corner accents, so I definitely wanted to incorporate them in the face up. I paint them on the upper and lower eyes and actually used the ink from my white Posca marker for that. I also decided to give her a slightly open mouth that shows her teeth a little, so I paint that with some white onto the mouth as well. And then I can finally paint the lower lashes. It's so much fun to paint these and they always look so soft. Painting them on the smaller eye was not easy, but I managed. To blend them better into the face, I used some black pastel chalk dust and brush it onto the lower lash line. It looks so nice. Oh. Now comes the fun part of the face up. Looking forward. The party doesn't end here. First I fill in the eyeshadow with neon yellow acrylic paint and then I will give her some face ornaments. So I printed these decals to make my life easier painting the ornaments. We just put them on, paint over them, and then we have some nice ornaments that are hopefully symmetrical. So yeah, I simply cut out the decals I made, dunk them into some water, wait for them to slide off the paper and then carefully apply them to the face. With a Q-tip, I carefully rub them on. Okay, let's apply all of them and then paint them over. With all the decals applied, I then used some teal Posca paint and carefully fill them in. This took a while, but this way I had a guideline where to paint the ornaments and it made it a little easier. When everything was filled in, I take my favorite iridescent glitter and dust it onto the cheeks to give her an otherworldly glow. I usually use a little more than I need because after spraying her with MSC, a good chunk of the glow goes missing again. And then last but not least, I apply some Liquitex high gloss varnish on the lips and waterlines of all 4 eyes. For some more details, I also decided to add some tiny iridescent rhinestones on the face by applying them with some PVA glue, and also gave her a little labret and bridge piercing because these were super popular back in the 2000s. And then it's time to glue the lashes. It's been a hot minute since I glued some lashes, so I'm looking forward to it. I apply PVA glue on the upper lid and then carefully place the lash on the eye after waiting for the glue to get a bit tacky. With a toothpick you can carefully press them on. Now just the other eye is missing. I didn't have lashes small enough for the upper eyes, so I just painted the lashes there. Okay, I decided against the teal heart and I will make a pink heart and put glitter on it now. So let's try that. It just didn't look that great, I think. After sleeping a night on the decisions of the face, I decided to make the forehead heart different. Okay, there's glue on it now, and now I use this glitter. I then let the glitter fall from my fingertips onto the glue and let the whole thing dry. But I'll need to blow away the glitter first. And with that, the face up is finally done. I love it so much. But I'm also curious how she will look with her eyes, so let's make them. I created this template in Adobe Illustrator and printed it onto some cardboard. I will give Nova alien-like black scleras with a pink iris, but I felt the pink wasn't popping enough, so I paint over it with some bright pink paint. That was a lot of pink in one sentence. When that was done, I decided to add a tiny holographic star to the bigger eyes and just glue it on with some Uhu glue. Then, using my half sphere mold and the 4th biggest sphere, I pour in some UV resin and top it off with some holographic glitter. Then I take my sclera, that sounds very wrong out of context, and put it onto the resin upside down. Now I let that cure for a couple of minutes and then I can demold it. Ah, it's so sparkly and shiny! I'm really happy how it came out. For the smaller eye, I take the 4th smallest sphere mold and make them the same way, pouring resin, topping with glitter and the sclera and letting everything cure under my UV lamp, and we also have a really pretty smaller eye. Now with all 4 eyes done, which looks super cool like this already, I can take the finished faceplate and insert the eyes with some editing magic. And boom! Oh, this looks so pretty. And I really love that when I make eyes with this technique, they have a follow effect. Alright, while I was finishing the face up, the curling rods finally decided to show up, so let's finish off that wig. Okay, so I have it on one of the other dolls now, and gonna finish the wig now. First, I will secure the pigtails with some zip ties, because I saw some wig stylists do that, and it works really nicely. Bye bye! Then I can cut off the temporary rubber bands, and then it's finally time to curl the hair. I got these perm rods and some satin paper and will spray the strands with water and hair gel before applying a little satin paper to the end of the strand and curling them. I also realized that this was gonna take for freaking ever. That's gonna take for freaking ever. Oh god. So basically I kept rolling, yeah, until all the curls are curled up and nicely tucked in, and then gave them a nice boiling water pour that I completely forgot to film. I can't believe I'm done. Oh my god, this took at least 1.5 hours, I think. Now this has to dry, and we can take out all the 32 rollers when it's dry. Probably tomorrow. Oof.
The next day.
Okay, so this is dry now. Let's see if that worked. If not, I give up. I was really hoping the curls would turn out nice, and I was lucky because they turned out exactly how I hoped they would. We want wild curls, so this is perfect. So now I just have to take out all the 32 perm rods and secure everything with some got-to-be hairspray to make sure they will stay nicely in shape. And the last thing missing are some big heart beads that I found at the dollar store, and they just look adorable. So I glued 2 of them to each side of the pigtails. And did past Elisa think the wig was done? Let's hear it. Oh my god guys, the wig is done. Oh my god, it's done! So yeah, the wig was finally done, and to be completely transparent here, I finished it only 1 day before the video release, so this was a close call. It's so pretty! Okay, let's make the final accessories. Okay, so Nova has fingernails, technically, but I need long, super long GYARU nails, so we are going to enhance them. Using the technique I used on my Iron Mouse and Silver Veil doll, I tape the finger, put UV resin on top of it, cure it, take off the nail and then glue it onto the finger. I don't use UV resin to glue them this time, but Uhu glue, so that I can change up her look if I want to in the future. When all the nails were done, I then paint them neon yellow. And when they were dry, I take all the nail art stuff that I could find in my stash and bedazzle the nails as if there was no tomorrow, because GYARU nails are out of this world decorated. And basically I decorate all the nails now. And when the nails were done, they looked like this, and I'm so happy how realistic and elaborate they look. I wish I could wear nails like that myself, but I could not craft with them. I kinda wanted to give Nova a little lanyard as well, because GYARUs wear these sometimes, so I take a glitter pleather stripe and first glue the ends together. Then I take a little necklace closure and thread it onto a metal ring, and then glue the ends of the lanyard around the metal ring to secure it. For the little card, I take a bigger and smaller PVC sheet and then use my soldering iron, yes you heard right, to melt the edges together and create the look of these clear plastic sheets. When both sheets were melted into oblivion, I then cut off the excess and end up with this little pocket. With a hot needle, I also poke a little hole through the top and can then insert the necklace closure of the lanyard, and I can't believe how cool that looks already. Ah! To finish it off, I printed the little VIP card with my logo, and now just cut it out and slide it into the little vinyl pocket. And with that, we have a really cool accessory. I honestly enjoy making these tiny accessories so much. It's one of my favorite parts. Okay, one last accessory is still missing. I want to give her a little fur tail with charms that can be attached to one of the belts. So I first take a piece of pink fur fabric and glue around the top seam allowance. I then take a leftover chain that I found laying around and insert it into the piece and glue the ends together. I then just add a ring and a little leather bead with Nova's initials. Then I prep a little star charm and also attach that to the chain, and at the end of the chain I attach a little bell. And put onto the belt, it looks like this, and I really like the look. It just spices up the outfit a tiny bit more. And I guess with that we are done. So I took all the outfit pieces and the doll and put her together. Look at my reaction. Oh my god. Oh my god! You have to see this. You have to see this. Let me present to you Nova.
And here she is, guys. And if you want your very own Nova doll now, she will be available for pre-order on February 24th at 8 p.m. CET. The pre-order will run for a week or until 50 dolls are sold. More information can be found in the description box below and in the pinned comment. And as always, thank you to all my patrons for the dedicated support. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you soon with a new exciting project. Bye!